Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with your afternoon streaming update, and we have some big changes on the way and a threat of severe weather as we get into the start of next week. So for tomorrow, really looking pretty quiet, windy and warmer on Sunday, but look at this drop. Monday, 40 degrees colder. So there is obviously a cold front headed toward the tri-state, and it is really going to pack a punch. As that cold front rolls through, we are on alert from Sunday into Monday. There is going to be very strong winds during the day Sunday ahead of that cold front. Then as the front moves through, there is a threat of damaging winds and maybe even a brief spin up tornado or two. Then as that cold front moves out, our temperatures drop like a rock, and as those temperatures plummet, we could then see that rain changing over to snow late Sunday night into Monday. It will then remain bitterly cold into the day on Tuesday. So we've got a lot to walk through, and we're going to dig into the details here. We're going to start with what's happening right now. We've had this kind of thin, stubborn layer of clouds over the tri-state for much of the day today, getting a little sunshine to the north and to the south, but right through the middle of the tri-state, there are quite a few clouds. The models are showing that those are probably going to thin out toward the end of the day here. So right at the end of the day, we may get some sunshine, but those clouds have been pretty stubborn so far. We will have just a few passing clouds then through the night and into Saturday. Saturday, we'll have kind of a mix of sun and clouds on and off throughout the day. I think later into the day, though, is our better chance at some sunshine. Any sunshine we see on Saturday, though, doesn't last very long. By Sunday, we start to cloud back up, and most of the day on Sunday is going to be cloudy but dry. So again, even though Sunday is a First Alert weather day, I want to emphasize most of the day on Sunday is going to be dry. It is going to be cloudy though, and very windy. Look at how fast those little wind arrows are moving. Warm air just pumping in from the south during the day on Sunday. Even outside of the thunderstorms, we'll probably have some wind gusts up close to 40 miles an hour on Sunday. So it's just going to be a windy day. Then as this cold front comes in from the west, we start to see storms. Now, this particular model is showing that we could maybe have some isolated thunderstorms developing out ahead of the front. I'm not totally convinced that's going to happen. It's a possibility, but I think the more likely scenario is that we see this line of storms starting to move in later that evening along the cold front. Now, if you look closely at these wind arrows here, you can spot that cold front. Notice this warm air flowing in from the south. Then right here along the edge of those storms, notice those wind arrows change direction and much colder air coming in from the northwest. Where you see that changeover, that's the cold front. And right along the edge of that cold front is where we'll see the front edge of these thunderstorms. They're going to push into the tri-state Sunday evening, probably sometime around 7 p.m. We're still a couple days away, so that timing could obviously shift some, but I'd say approximately 7 p.m. or so, those storms start to move into southeast Illinois and then move east across the tri-state as we go through the rest of Sunday evening and into Sunday night. Looks like they'll most likely move through places like Princeton, Evansville, Henderson, sometime around 9, maybe 10 o'clock Sunday night, and then they'll continue to push east and will move out of the tri-state by about midnight to 1 a.m. So we're talking about from about 7 in the evening till 1 o'clock in the morning, middle of the night. So from Sunday evening into the first half of Sunday night, we're at risk for these thunderstorms. Notice though, as those thunderstorms start to move out, we turn our attention to these wind arrows. As the storms move out, sharply colder air is going to move in. And as those storms move out, our temperatures are going to start to drop very rapidly. And as that happens, any remaining moisture will likely change over to snow. Now, by that point, the heavy stuff will be out of here. It'll be lighter, more scattered, but still some scattered snow showers then possible late Sunday night into Monday morning, with those snow chances tapering off probably by about lunchtime. It looks like Monday afternoon will then be dry. It's still going to be really cold, though, all the way into Tuesday. As for our thunderstorm risk, it has has increased. You'll notice the entire tri-state now outlooked in that level 3 for numerous severe storms possible Sunday evening within that line along that cold front. Now, the most likely threat within those storms is damaging winds. It's already going to be very windy, even outside of the thunderstorms. Both ahead of the front, we'll have strong winds from the south, and behind the front, we'll have strong winds from the northwest. So before and after the storms, it's still going to be very breezy, but as the storms are moving through, we really see this elevated risk that we could see damaging winds. So that's the most likely threat. Within that, though, we may also see a brief spin-up tornado along that line, too. So that's something else we'll be watching for. Flooding, not a major concern. It may be raining pretty heavy at times, but it really looks like this is going to be a fairly narrow band of storms, and it's going to move through very quickly. So I don't think it's going to rain long enough for flooding to really be a problem. And I'm not particularly concerned about hail, partially because I don't know that we're going to have enough instability, and that's kind of the hang-up for this whole storm system. We will definitely have plenty of shear and plenty of lift. I mean, I showed you that drop in our temperatures. This is going to be a strong cold front, so I'm not worried about shear and lift. I'm not sure if we have enough instability or moisture for the severe weather threat to really come together on this. So I'm not confident that we will actually see numerous severe storms just because I'm unsure about the instability and the moisture. But this cold front will be strong enough, that lift may be strong enough to kind of overcome what we lack in instability. So certainly it is either way definitely going to be windy Sunday into Sunday night, especially as those storms are moving through. So even if we don't end up getting tornadoes, even if we don't end up with numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, there are still going to be hazards out there. I think we'll probably see some falling limbs. I wouldn't be shocked if we even had a tree knocked down or some power outages. Light objects that catch the wind easily will likely be blown around. There will be tipped over trash cans and patio furniture and things like that. And it's going to be difficult driving in this Sunday and even through Sunday night into Monday, especially if you drive a high-profile vehicle, something like a semi-truck that catches the wind very easily. So there are threats in play here, even if the severe weather threat doesn't totally come together. But again, there is that possibility that if we can overcome what we're lacking in instability and moisture, this extremely strong cold front would still be capable of producing lots of damaging wind and maybe even some tornadoes, again, if everything comes together just right. I'm going to check in on the comments really quick, and then we're going to move into kind of part 2 of this alert day, which is the snow and the cold. Good afternoon, Jeanette, Amanda. Sorry, Ashlyn, a little short on good news right now. She says, can we have a week without storms? She's over spring. That's, it's just what it is. It's spring in the tri-state for you. And Jeremy's quick to point out, it's not even technically spring yet. That's true. All right, Zach, let me expand so I can read your whole question here. It's the main threat for severe weather on Sunday. Wind. Wind is absolutely the primary threat. That is what we will most likely see. If nothing else, it will be windy, and when those storms are moving through, there is a good chance that we will see damaging winds. Within that, there is also an isolated tornado threat too. And Tori, again, we've got this whole spring debate happening in the comments. It is meteorological spring, you're right. And yeah, Cheyenne, this is a big increase from yesterday. For those of you who were maybe watching yesterday, we were talking about that threat of severe weather was down to our southwest, and we thought we would get a level 1, maybe a level 2 risk out of this, and instead it has bumped up to a level 3. Really just as new data is coming in, and as these storms get closer, more models go out that far where we can actually see these storms, what they might potentially look like. confidence is increasing that this is going to be a line of storms, a strong line of storms rushing through the tri-state rather quickly, and especially along that leading edge, you could end up with kind of widespread damaging winds. And so that threat, again, the confidence in that threat has increased quite a bit since yesterday. So that's what you're seeing reflected there in that bump up to us now being in a level 3 risk. Let's talk about part 2 of this alert day now, which is the wintry weather. I think the primary concern will be it will be cold. It's going to be a lot colder than it has been here recently. And even if this had been a typical March, which it hasn't been, it's been a very warm March so far. I mean, we've had a couple days in the 80s already this March. So it is going to be a shock to a lot of people how extremely cold it is going to be Monday into Tuesday. On top of that, it's still going to be breezy on Monday, which is going to make the cold feel even worse. But there is this low-level risk of some snow. Now, I don't think it's going to be a lot of snow. I think it'll be light and scattered, but there is this threat of snow nonetheless. Really, the focus for the wintry weather is going to be way to our north. Green Bay is going to get nailed with snow from this storm. Down this far south, though, it's just going to be a little bit of light scattered snow kind of on the tail end of everything. So it looks like our winter storm impacts from this are going to be pretty minimal. You'll have to keep in mind we're talking mid-70s on Sunday, and this snow would be happening just a few hours later. So the ground, I think, will still be fairly warm. It's been very warm here recently. So I think the ground will probably be too warm for much of anything to stick, but it will be windy. Those temperatures are going to drop very quickly with that wind blowing across. That can help cool off surfaces. So especially grassy, elevated surfaces, things like, patio furniture, car windshields, things that are kind of up elevated off the ground and cool down very quickly. Those are the things that could maybe pick up a dusting of snow out of this for sure. Another consideration would be things like bridges and overpasses. Because they come up and over, the cold air can go over them and under them, and so it cools them off much more quickly. And so as a result, that's why you always see those signs, bridges freeze before roadway. That's why. And so it is possible with that cold wind whipping through the bridges and overpasses could cool down fast enough that maybe we get a dusting on some of those surfaces, maybe an isolated slick spot. So that's something that we'll be watching for then as we get into Monday morning, is that's where we're going to see this dramatic drop in our temperatures. We'll have snow showers moving through, but overall the winter impacts from this, the snow in particular, does seem like it's going to be kind of minor compared to some of the other impacts. Let's talk temperatures for a moment, because this is going to be a huge change. We're sitting in the upper 50s to low to mid 60s right now, just depending on your location. It's 59 in Evansville, 60 in Owensboro, but Madisonville is up to 65. We are going to drop back through the 50s and the 40s this evening. We do have winds coming in from the west right now. It's still a little bit on the breezy side out there. I do expect those winds to die down overnight. Temperatures will drop back into the mid-30s tonight. Then tomorrow, not as breezy, kind of a mix of sun and clouds throughout the day. Overall, Saturday looks pretty pleasant. Highs will be somewhere in the lower 60s for most of us. Then we get into Sunday. Sunday is going to be windy. As I said, those winds will be coming from the south, maybe gusting up to 40 miles an hour, but that's going to pull this warmer air into the tri-state, push us into those mid-70s Sunday afternoon. Then the cold front moves through. That brings us that chance of thunderstorms and damaging winds Sunday evening. And as that cold front moves through, our temperatures drop rapidly. And by the end of the night there, we're looking at temperatures in the low 30s. And then with that cold wind just pumping in all day Monday and essentially no sunshine to warm us up, it's going to stay in the low 30s for most of the day. We just kind of hold steady with this brutal cold pushing into the tri-state. And then look at this. Monday night into Tuesday morning, our temperatures are going to be in the mid-teens before we finally start to warm back up then as we go through the rest of the week. So let's look at what it would actually feel like out there. So we're going from the low to mid 70s on Sunday afternoon to very quickly we start dipping into the upper 20s for those wind chills. And as that cold air continues to flow in, most of the day on Monday, I mean like essentially all day Monday, those wind chills are just going to hold steady in the mid-teens. So temperatures will be in the low 30s, but because of that wind, it's going to feel like the mid-teens. Then we get into Monday night into Tuesday morning, and look at how cold it's going to be. We're talking about wind chills in the single digits Tuesday morning. So you need to keep that in mind, especially if you're a parent. It is going to be brutally cold at the bus stop Tuesday morning with those wind chills down in the single digits. We then start to see those wind chills climbing back into the 20s on Tuesday. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 30s. The wind starts to let up some. And then that wind actually changes direction and warmer air starts to push into the tri-state by Wednesday. So here's a snapshot of that forecast. Again, a lot happening here. Very windy on Sunday, on alert for those storms Sunday into Monday. Breezy and very cold then Monday, staying dangerously cold even into Tuesday morning. Then we finally start to quiet things down as we get into the middle and second half of next week. All right, let me check in on the comments here. Someone's asking if there's a possibility of us getting bumped up to a level 4 risk for the strong winds. I'm not, that's not my call. I'm not the one who makes that decision. The meteorologist at the Storm Prediction Center make those maps for the entire country. It's possible. I think we'll have to get a little closer to it. Get a little more data, get a little more confident that this is actually going to come together. But with how windy it is going to be on Sunday, if they are confident that we are going to see widespread wind gusts over 70 miles an hour Sunday night, I think they would put us in a level 4. So at this point, it's just a matter of letting things get a little closer and get a little clearer picture of how confident are we that we could really see winds that strong, that widespread over this area. So it is a possibility and something we'll be watching for. And Oshlin asking the same thing, upgrade to a level 4. And some people are asking about what type of weather we're looking at. If we get upgraded to a level 4, it would be because we're becoming confident we could actually see a derecho, which would be a line that produces very, very strong winds. I mean, these could be hurricane force winds moving through the tri-state Sunday evening if all of this comes together just right. So that's something serious to consider. I also have some people asking about individual places. So I do want to pull out the map here again just to show you we're all in the same boat together on this one. The entire tri-state, and even for a few counties either way beyond the tri-state, everyone is sitting at that level 3 out of 5 risk. So again, for the entire tri-state area, there is this threat of numerous severe storms. Now, where exactly those severe storms would happen, whether or not they'll hit your neighborhood, the science is not quite that good just yet. We can't tell that for sure, but what I can tell you is that over this entire region, there is the threat of numerous severe storms Sunday evening, and the most likely threat within those storms is damaging winds. Damaging winds is where we're really putting our focus here. There is also an isolated tornado threat, but damaging winds is really where we're seeing that upgrade to level 3 right now. That is because of that threat of damaging winds that seems to be increasing. So for those of you who are concerned and you say, I don't know what to do with this information, here's what you should be doing right now. The alert day is not here yet. Step 1 is pay attention to the weather. So the fact that you're watching this means you're already on the right path. Number 2 would be have a way to receive alerts. Get that figured out today, tomorrow, into the day Sunday. Don't wait until the storms are happening to figure out how you're going to get your warnings. Do not depend on outdoor storm sirens, and certainly don't depend on them at night. They are not designed to wake you up, and they're not going to most of the time. Especially if the wind is already whipping out there, you're not going to be able to hear those storm sirens. And go ahead and figure out your safe places. It's happening on a Sunday night. Most of you are probably going to be at home home. Know where your safe place is at home. Make sure the rest of your family knows where your safe place is at home. When we actually get to Sunday, that's where it becomes all that much more important to make sure you're checking back, getting the latest update. Have we been upgraded? Is there a watch? Has the timing changed? These are things that we'll be bringing you during the day, Sunday, and so you want to stay up to date with that very latest information. And then we will be tracking these storms live as they move into the tri-state on Sunday night. Adjust your plans. If you had plans on Sunday night, maybe change them. This is going to be late in the day, like I said, from about 7 p.m. until about 1 a.m. So a lot of folks will already be home for the night at that point. So that's good news, as long as they don't all just go to sleep unaware of the threat of severe weather. Again, remind your family, make sure everyone knows where to go and what to do if a warning is issued, and make sure your shelter is clean and accessible. I know, every home has a different safe place. The safe place I had in the home I grew up in was a closet under the stairs, but that's also where we stored the vacuum cleaner and the, Christmas tree and all kinds of stuff that we had to remove in order to be able to get into that closet. So maybe Sunday evening, as things are kind of starting to move in, go ahead and get that stuff out of the way. Make sure you have somewhere safe to go and be able to get there quickly if you need to. And then obviously, once we get to Sunday night, that's when you need to start really taking things seriously, where if there's a warning issued, you need to move. Go to your safe place away from windows or exterior walls. Get down on the ground and cover your head. It's a good idea to take good sturdy shoes with you, a bike helmet, or pillows or something to protect your head. Shoes is one that people often forget about, especially in scenarios like this, though, where you may be home already. A lot of people don't wear shoes in their house. A lot of people, at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night wouldn't be sitting around in their shoes. But if there is damage, tree falls on your house, window breaks, whatever it may be, you don't want to be walking around barefoot at that point if there's broken glass and debris and whatnot around. So put your shoes on your way to your safe place there. All right. So so there is that concern for Simeon's mentioning that concern for hurricane force winds. Like I said, that's where we're seeing this upgrade. People get really concerned about tornadoes, and rightfully so. They deserve a healthy fear, but wind is oftentimes something that gets kind of pushed aside as kind of secondary to tornadoes. But straight line winds, when they're strong enough, can still do that kind of damage, and on a very widespread scale. So this is something that we need to all be taking seriously and being prepared for. On Sunday evening, you may have a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning, and still need to be putting your tornado warning action plan in place, because those winds would still have the possibility of knocking down trees, causing damage, peeling up roofs and shingles and things like that. This could become a very serious situation, even if it's just, I use air quotes there, just straight line winds instead of a tornado. So definitely something to keep in mind there. I'm not seeing any other questions. Other people are just sharing that they're already making plans. People who live in mobile homes making plans to maybe stay somewhere else Sunday night. If you have a friend or a family member that you could maybe just crash with them on Sunday just to be safe. Those mobile homes do have a risk of rolling over when the winds get this strong, and we don't want anyone to get hurt in those scenarios. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. I am going to run through and do just a little bit of housekeeping, just a few things that I like to mention on these shows, and I'll give you guys a little extra time to get any questions in that you might have about that first alert weather day. We have been tracking the rivers all week long. Those have been very high, but they're on their way back down. So we're still at minor flood stage in Mount Vernon, J.T. Myers, and Shawneetown on the Ohio River, but the Ohio River is falling now, so it's already crested, it's hit its peak, and it is slowly going back down now. Along the White River in Hazleton and Petersburg, we've got moderate flooding, but again, the good news is you've hit your peak, and those rivers will very slowly, but they will begin to fall. And then along the Wabash River, Mount Carmel and New Harmony sitting at minor flood and expected to stay at minor flood stage, rising just a little bit more, expected to crest tomorrow in Mount Carmel and Sunday in New Harmony. Carmi also just above flood stage there and expected to crest tomorrow. No flooding at this time in western Kentucky. The Green River, both at Calhoun and Paradise, below flood stage and expected to stay that way. I mentioned earlier the temperatures have been wild this March. We have had a couple days in the 80s, a lot of days in the 60s and 70s, and our average high this time of year would be in the 50s. We've also had quite a bit of rain, especially last week. We had heavy rain Thursday and again just kind of a rainy Saturday. The storms that moved through on Wednesday night brought us a lot of wind and a big temperature change, but not a whole lot in the way of rain. Overall, though, we do have more than double our normal amount of precipitation so far this March, and our average temperature is running more than 12 degrees above what you would expect for the month of March because it has been so warm here recently, and it's still going to be a little warmer than average tomorrow and about 20 degrees warmer than average on Sunday when we have those strong winds coming in from the south. Then we've got that cold front. We've been talking about it for several minutes now. This cold front Sunday night bringing us a risk of severe storms with damaging winds, maybe hurricane force winds, and a huge drop in our temperatures. We're talking about a 40-degree drop Sunday night. And so then Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be bitter cold. We may even get some snow Monday morning. Then we start to warm back up as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday there. The extended outlook into next weekend then continues to show a trend toward above average temperatures along with below average precipitation. So we are on alert for those storms Sunday evening and possibly some snow Monday morning. We may catch a stray shower on Wednesday, but other than that, once we get past those snow showers on Monday, the rest of next week is looking pretty dry and gradually warmer as well. All right, checking in on the comments here. Megan's asking about, these storms are going to be moving very fast. Could we see macro or micro bursts? I wouldn't rule that out, but I'm more concerned about a derecho. I think that's the greater threat here. These storms will be moving fast, as she mentioned. For those of you who are curious, I will pull up the timing just one more time before I let us go here. I'm going to skip ahead here, and we're going to start things Sunday morning because the next couple of days are not all that interesting. All the way through the day on Sunday, windy but mainly dry. These storms will be moving fast. This model, as I mentioned before, is showing an isolated chance of storms popping up out ahead of the front Sunday evening. It's possible, but I'm not really buying that. I think we'll most likely see storms along the actual front later Sunday evening, probably after 7 p.m. And these storms are going to be kind of a narrow line of storms pushing through the tri-state very quickly. And right there on that leading edge of those storms, that's where we're concerned about seeing fairly widespread hurricane force winds across much of the tri-state Sunday evening. And then it's all going to be over by about midnight, maybe 1 a.m. at the latest. So we're talking from about 7 p.m. to midnight seems like the most likely window here where we'll have these storms just kind of quickly blowing through the tri-state, and then it gets sharply colder behind that, and that's where we could then see some lighter, more scattered snow showers lingering on the backside of the system into Monday morning, and then we dry things out then as we get into Monday afternoon. But again, the entire tri-state, we're all at the same risk level right now, the entire tri-state at that level 3 risk for numerous severe storms. Most likely, this is going to be a damaging wind threat. I wouldn't rule out a brief spin-up tornado within this as well, but really the main concern is that as that line pushes through on the leading edge of that line, we could see hurricane force damaging winds across much of the tri-state. So everyone, please remain on alert for that possibility as we go through Sunday evening into Sunday night, and then just be prepared for how extremely cold it is going to get out there Monday into Tuesday. All right. I think that answers everyone's questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. 14 First Alert meteorologist Michael Fecca will have an updated look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10, and he'll do another streaming show tonight at 9. So if I wasn't able to answer your question, if I missed it, please tune back in at 9 and ask again, and Michael will do his best to get everyone's questions answered then as well. And the whole team is going to be working throughout this weekend to bring you updates Saturday and especially on Sunday as these storms move closer. And then we will be here with team coverage, tracking them live as the storms move through the tri-state. So keep it tuned to 14. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day, a great weekend, and stay safe.